The regular council meeting for Tuesday, September 23rd is called to order at 9:26, I believe, p.m. We've already had a moment of silent meditation. We've already had the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call, Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Martin.
Present.
Councilperson Erbaum.
Present.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. She's left for the night. Councilperson Winters.
Present.
Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, Christy Alou, Village Manager, and in lieu of
She's in the
Joseph-
building.
Oh, I thought you left. She's back.
All right.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Here. She's back. And then in lieu of Joseph Geller, Attorney Johnson.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Good and welfare, this is for anybody to come up and say anything at all about the agenda. We don't have any agenda items today. This is good and welfare. Is it about the agenda? Yeah. Well, then wait for the second good and wait for. Oh, is there a second? No, come. Yeah, she didn't put a second. Come.
Augustine Ramos, 60 Northwest 91st Street. Sorry if this is not the moment, but just
You're good.
to highlight, ultimately what just happened was the budget that a lot of people had a lot of things to say about, and that planned to say those things tonight. We didn't go through it. It got approved as is. That's the bottom line. And it was not approved unanimously. I fully acknowledge there's a date that will be talked about again, but a lot of what was going to be said tonight was the lack of preparation, the lack of planning, the lack of time to discuss things. There is an amendment that's possible, apparently. We hope that it can be a complete amendment and not find out later in October when it's too late that we're limited in some way. The recurring theme is we're caught off guard or we don't have enough time. And that's a theme across all the lines in the budget almost, a lot of them. A lack of transparency, a decision you guys made 3-2. Some of you conflicted when you made it. And we're not even sure what we'll be able to do at that point in time. So I'm asking that you please, the 5 of you, do everything that you can possibly do between now and then to be very, very prepared, because we came here tonight to talk about a lot of stuff that's in here. A lot of it was going to be reductions to expenses that we've asked for over the last 3 weeks. And a couple of people made the point that there were no changes to the budget that was presented tonight, and it just got passed as is. So you all, I'm beating the dead horse, but part of what a group of us talked about last night is repeating ourselves to make sure that you guys hear us. So this is me repeating the hell out of myself, and acknowledging fully what you all just did, which is commit to a meeting in October to do things differently. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. I just want everybody to know, like, we hear you guys, which is why we're doing the budget amendment meeting. If we didn't hear you all, we would just say, let's just pass the budget as is. Remember, I gave four type of things we could have did. The first one was just to pass the budget as is, period, and that's it. So, so having the budget, the budget amendment hearing, we can amend. It's the budget. It's not the budget amendment for, you know, the code enforcement line items. It's not the budget amendment for the administration line items or the budget amendment for the general. It's the budget amendment for the budget. All right? So essentially, you guys are kind of getting like another budget workshop in a sense. All right? So that's how that goes. Come up, Mr. McKenzie. Say your name and address for the record.
Ian McKenzie, 8950 Northeast 4th Avenue. I'd like to propose that the council tonight makes a motion to set a budget planning meeting for every year that starts in April so that way they can start the budget review process with the whoever the financial expert is here, and that way we don't get into the situation that any other groups, the village manager knows about it, the clerk knows about it, the mayor knows about it, everybody's on board. So that way we know when to start this process, so we don't end up with sort of like, oh, well, it didn't happen, or we never got around to it, and then suddenly we're in a crunch. This way we avoid it. If it's pass it by motion, do that. Let's see some firm commitments made by this type of stuff. Okay? Budgets, I know I've done plenty of them over the years. They can be amended, they can be adjusted. If you underspend, you can, you can carry forward funds to the future year, you can move funds back. So it's all financial accounting. A budget is just a roadmap, sort of a guide, okay? It guides you, so don't get all hung up about it. Let's look at each item reasonably and rationally and say, what if, Thank you.
Thank you
I
very
wanted to respond to what you just said. Mr. Johnson, am I to be...
Mr. McKenzie.
Mr. Johnson over here,
Oh,
our attorney today. We cannot make a motion without it being on the agenda today. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
We cannot make a motion today without it being on the agenda first, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if we could put it on the next meeting, we can make that motion then. If we can please apply that to the next meeting, to possibly have the next budget planning start in April, so that we can talk about that in the next meeting agenda.
We don't know who's going to be sitting on your chairs next year. I don't know their schedules yet. Oh, to start the
April.
conversations? Yes,
Yeah,
that has
yes.
the trim again. There's a reason why there's an attorney, there's a manager, I understand, but there's a reason that there's also a CFO. They need to go through the trim and see what the time frame looks like. Now, to speak about the budget meeting as what we decided today, in that term, I mean, if you want to bring up the budget in an administrative way, you can always bring it up. That is not a problem. That can always be brought up. Now, to start working on the budget, there's time frames, and that's what I was referring to today, that I told the attorney and the CFO that they are the ones who need to come up with, including also the manager. My role is the trim part, to advertise the trim solely. So that would be a conversation that you would have to start with them to see where in the whole laws it says that it can. I don't think any other municipality starts it that early.
So I saw
There's time frames.
on the budget, it says year-to-date was July 31st, so we have to wait till July 31st maybe, because we need to have all the numbers by that time? So
Yeah,
it has to
probably.
be after that date, am I
It
correct?
probably has to be. I can't
No.
tell you for sure or for certain,
Okay.
but there is time frames.
No, it's just that the year-to-date numbers are dragging by about 60 days, and since we're so late into the term now, that's why July is showing up. But if we had it in April, we'd be dragging by 2 months, by 60 days.
It still has to go by the trim.
So,
The trim has specific dates
right, and I think the
that we
real,
must comply with.
I think the real issue here is just the formation of the finance committee that is then able to establish an annual schedule that includes a budgeting schedule that begins in as early as April, with some restrictions, but then should be able to be fully underway by end of May, certainly by mid-June. But that would be, again, that's going back to the need for a finance committee.
Yeah.
I second that completely. I do think that you are absolutely correct. There are timelines triggered by certain events that are out of our control. And there's a reason why if you just did like a Google search to see when everyone else is having their budget meetings, we're right in line with everyone else. But I do think the Administration and Finance Committee is an integral part of making sure that you have a constant idea of a way that you can chime in on how money is being spent, or are able to request certain information about certain expenditures that you care about as a committee. So I do think we need to set some meeting dates up for the Administration and Finance Committee, and they need to meet at a consistent interval. In addition to that, there needs to be clear criteria and entry points for residents to sign up to participate in the committee.
May I also add, just from administration's perspective, a mid-year review is perfectly consistent, and I think that would be advisable. I mean, we do that internally So there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do something at that level for a council meeting, or for an administration and finance committee meeting.
That sounds good.
Yeah, let me just say, so per charter, you all, I think what's more feasible for Mr. McKenzie, what he's talking about, is to start a residential board that works alongside the committee. Per charter, no resident can be part of a village committee. Okay? That's in the charter. So, Mr. Ramos. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ms. Baza.
Alexandra Baza, 120 Northwest 86th Street. So the finance committee is one point. As you know, all the rest of committees are impact, all the rest of the items also impact the financial part. And that's why I request again to have the residents to be part of those committees. So those conversations are starting early, not just finance, but environmental, every single item with the participation of the residents. So how can we make sure that we have someone from the residents part of the committees?
So
Thank you.
so we have residential boards is what we can start for the budget, like a financial residential board is what we can start for that.
Right, but all the rest of the conversations that also impact the
Yeah.
numbers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a little point.
Yeah.
I do think the advisory board or advisory council that kind of mirrors all of the existing committees might be prudent. And I know that sometimes boards or councils are created and then a council person is the one who's responsible for kind of populating this body. I think in this situation, I think there should be a way for residents to opt themselves into that without necessarily being known to a council member or to anybody in the municipality.
I also like to add that once you do sign up for these committees or you create these committees, you are held to the same standards as the governing body. That means sunshine laws and ethics. So you would both have to follow those. So you're held to the same. That means you can't be talking to each other, calling each other, getting each other's votes. You would also need to have somebody who runs this meeting, other than the person who runs this meeting, somebody who takes the minutes. You're held to the same standards as they are all held to.
Thank you for that refinement. That's true. It's serious business, guys.
And anyone can start any initiative that they want to. Any council person, you guys can start any initiative that you want to for any residents. Okay? That's always open.
So we're still on good and welfare, right?
Yes, we're still.
Okay, I'll wait for him.
Augustine Ramos, 60 Northwest 91st Street. So is there, broad question for the manager, I suppose, is there like a tracking system that you guys have for important dates, contract renewal dates, something that lets you know that something's upcoming, that there's a period for review, like a tickler system, basically. Some date out in the future, you got to do something by it. That's a deadline, not the day to start doing it. If it's a deadline of that date, when do you start working on it so that you can meet the deadline? Is that something that exists? Is that something that can be shared publicly, the list of important dates by things when they have to be renewed by a certain date, what forum they need to be approved in, or if they can just be decisioned internally in office because they're already approved, just that level of transparency, is that?
There are several dates and deadlines that we have to make, but in terms of contracts, I think that's what you're talking about?
Contracts are just like, up until tonight, the general thought was September 30th is the drop dead date to approve a budget. But we just learned that really it's today, because while technically you can turn your homework in on the 30th, you had to tell the world that you were turning it in on the 30th by a certain date, or else the meeting's not valid, right? I mean, we could have met on the 30th, but whatever we did that day was irrelevant, not legal, not passable. So effectively, what actually happens is that the day is today, not the 30th. So I just those kinds of things. Is there a desk reference available internally and publicly so that in case somebody internally misses it, it's posted and a resident can bring it up at any one of the Tuesdays that we're here at a random meeting and just ask for a status. And then regarding the finances, I understand you have to start with the trim and you can't do a final thing, but there is value in measuring your performance to your plan. Say in April, you're looking at February numbers, that's still 4 months of stuff, 5, whatever. It's a lot of months. You can actually compare what's actually happening to whatever you budgeted for. That's valuable information to see if your budget's trash, if it's going well, if there's a positive surprise, if there's anything. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the most precise thing that you're going to work towards finalizing a proposal with. It just lets you know if you did a good job or not early. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm gonna
Anybody
say
else?
something really quick. Oh, if I have to wait for the,
Anybody else good in welfare?
all right.
Come on up, Mr. Bus.
I have a question about the Sunshine State Law. When you say that we cannot meet outside, if we are part of one of these, advisory.
So let's say that you and let's say Francis Siegel and let's say Mackenzie are on the board. You guys cannot to discuss anything that you're coming up with for voting. You cannot text it to each other. You cannot discuss it in any form. That's part of the Sunshine. That's why you have to have these public meetings. You have to notice them and everything, just like you would here. Like they're held to the same standards.
I understand that. But my question is, like because that is basically what I would like to have. Someone as a resident inside of so we know what these discussions inside of these rooms are, and we can share it with the rest of the residents.
Yes.
Is that something that
Yes,
is
you can discuss it
permissible?
amongst the residents. You can't discuss it with your other board member.
Oh, okay. I just
And for your information, that's codified under Florida Statute Chapter 286.
okay, yeah. I just wanted to get some clarity. Thank you.
Once a person becomes a member, just like they become members, you will get classes. So there's a class that you have to do, and that will explain to you a lot of the stuff that can or cannot be done under the Sunshine. There is a lot. It's a big statute, yes. Also the ethics. Ethics is another one.
Yeah, and again, just in a nutshell, so a member of the board, anything that would be voted on, so we could talk to each other socially, that's fine. It's when topics of discussion come up that are going to be voted on, that there is a prohibition of discussion between the board members. It's to prevent, accomplishment of voting blocks, predetermined outcomes, all of that. So, there's pros and cons to it, but that is absolutely the law of Florida. So we do not communicate with each other in any way, shape, or form outside of these public meetings regarding anything we're going to vote on. Sometimes if a resident will email all of us, the attorney will fairly quickly send a response saying nobody is to reply all to this message. And so the purpose of that is because none of the council members are to be discussing amongst each other something that will come up for a vote. It all comes back to, is it going to come up for a vote? If it is, it's prohibited discussion outside of a public meeting.
Thank you. Anybody else good in welfare?
Velvet Connolly, 355 Northeast 87th Street. I'm just curious, how would it work if the community got together outside of this forum to discuss anything about things that we want to see in the village? And if we were voting amongst ourselves to say, hey, what do we think is important? And then we bring that back to the council as how would we get that set as the agenda to say this is what the public wants to see the council agenda be for this quarter or this?
In that sense, without you being on any board,
Right.
okay, you would email one of the council members. They're the only ones, actually, the attorney or the manager or any of us can put something on the agenda. But because you're a resident and they're the ones that are representing you, you would have to email them. and they would have to see that it come through or in some format, if that's what you were wanting to do, through one of
So-
your elected officials.
So the community can come up with an agenda, but it's
Not an agenda. You can come up with an item or tell them this is what I would like to see, not the whole agenda. The whole agenda is not done in that format, no.
no. What I mean is like whatever the community decides is important to them. That's what I mean by agenda.
Oh, okay.
So I'm saying
Oh,
whatever
okay,
the
you mean like an
community-
agenda, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying that
not the
whatever
agenda.
the community
okay.
agenda
Like an agenda
is-
item or something, correct.
Right. If the community says these are the 5 projects we want to see done in our community in the next 12 months.
You're basically
right?
asking if the community can meet and decide on issues that they want the
Yes,
committee.
and then how,
Yes.
and then what would be the proper procedure to then have that be placed as the
You would-
agenda for the council?
You would get in touch with one of the council members or one of the charter officers. And in the case of the charter officers, they would pass that along to the council members. But there are only certain folks that can actually make agenda items to be voted on. But there's nothing stopping the community from meeting and deciding what issues they want to address with the council.
A follow-up to that, then, are council members allowed to attend a meeting like that, that's an open public forum, in an unofficial capacity?
Only one of them. You can't have them as a group,
Because at the point that
That
there's
would
more
be
than
a
one, that's a
sunshine.
violation of the sunshine law.
correct.
How do we
Understood.
explain League of Cities meetings then?
I'm sorry?
How do we explain the League of Cities meetings then?
That's
Because-
hooked. That's a
They're
different-
not specific agenda items being.
Yeah, that's a
being
different-
Addressed there.
This is a governing body.
And
That's
then-
a different
And
entity.
then a super fun gray area in all of that would be, technically, if the council persons all attended and sat quietly and said nothing, in theory. Yeah, but,
Sunshine.
right, but that would be such a gray area, we'd be setting our, so, I'll bring it back and make it even more simplified for you. There's basically 2 different types of requests that you're looking to put to, like, in theory, the mayor kind of controls the agenda, okay? So that's who you really, if you really want it on the agenda, the mayor is first person to talk to. Any one of us individually will absolutely advocate for anything a resident is asking us to put on an agenda. And so in that, I'll help you simplify it. There's 2 different types of requests you're gonna make. We wanna talk about it, or we wanna do something about it. If you wanna talk about it, you're asking for a discussion item, which typically is easier to put on the agenda, because a discussion item is just saying, hey, we'd like to talk about this topic. Not necessarily gonna make a vote, not necessarily gonna do anything about it. A discussion item is something you wanna bring to the attention of council and put it on the radar for future action, basically, right? And then there is something that you would want action on. Hey, can we get the council to vote on this, to do something? That is a different type of, agenda item. That is an action item. So since we have an audience here who's engaged, I would like to at least illustrate that there are 2 different types of requests of agenda item. One falls under the category of, hey, can we discuss this, a discussion item. The other is, hey, can we vote on this, an action item, right? And so just for the public's benefit, that's basically what we're looking at with different types of agenda items.
I really appreciate that explanation. I guess what I'm trying to really discern is, because now that you brought up that the council is not legally allowed to be there, I want to distinguish, is it if they're voting, or is it, well, and what I mean is, let me step back. If the community is just discussing what matters to them, right? If they're just trying to determine, hey, what are the things that we agree about that we all, find important? Is that something that the council can participate in as residents, not as the city council?
It's a potential voting item.
Okay.
So the best way around it is you have to run for office, I guess, because it's a potential voting item in the sense that you can be bringing something that's really important and something that can make a change. So if they bring it up here and it was not noticed, there's a violation and they can be held to state attorney criminal.
Understood. Okay.
Would another option be just inviting them one at a time? So you have this meeting, and then you can stagger the arrival of the council members and have them one at a time encounter or be presented with whatever it is that you and this group have come up with. So
Okay.
the sequence matters, but we can attend just individually.
You could also have the meeting and then send a synopsis, summary, minutes, whatever you wish, individually to each council person and say, for your benefit, this is what we all met and discussed, and notifying the council persons individually of what was discussed would not be an issue at all. I believe, I'll defer to the attorney, but I really do believe that that would be a method where you could get the word to the councils individually without putting them in a position where some violation might occur.
Right.
You can
And-
also have workshops.
Well, because I guess what I'm trying to get at is
To get
like,
them all here,
is
you
a
can have a
community event, right? It's like where the community is gathering, right? So it's not like it's something that you'd want the community, their residents of the community as well, right? From that standpoint, we'd want them there, right?
So the
I'm just not sure.
the best way to go about that is asking one of them to have a workshop where you guys come up with ideas and pop off and what's most important. That's the best way. That is the best practice.
And because the workshop will be noticed, that's
Exactly.
how
It's the best
you would be in the
practice.
sunshine.
It's the best
with the
practice.
So
meeting.
the activity is what triggers the violation, not the location. So
Right.
I, as a council person, could be meeting with one additional council person, and we could be doing it at, what is my place, that bar, that Citadel, where you can eat all the things, and we can be discussing on something. And if we're discussing something that will appear before us as a voting item, then we're violating the sunshine. So the workshop is an option. Thinking about whether or not you want to invite us individually is an option, or Councilperson Urbaum's suggestion of making it more of a written document that's sent to each of us, not all together on the same email, but individually. That cures the issue. Those are three routes to take.
And what you suggested originally, would that still work also just as far as staggering your arrival
Just making sure there's only one of us at a time.
at the
Yes.
time? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Daniel Rojas, 60 Northeast 86th Street. Just to clear, before there was mention of other boards, like the architectural board and the other boards, but I haven't seen anything pop up on those. I know Mayor
I just
Nickerson-
haven't gotten to your street yet.
That's
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
is.
Don't worry
I
about it.
just want to make sure, because we're talking about other boards here, just want to make
Yeah, I
sure
got
everything
you.
else is being
I
covered.
got you. No
That
problem.
was it.
I got you. Anyone else good in welfare? Okay. Let's go back to the council. Councilperson Winters, I think you had something.
Yes. Before we amend the budget now that was voted to be amended in October, I think it is vital that myself and every resident here gets a list of all the resolutions that were passed, not completed, and funds were allocated for it and still not used. If they were used, to know where they were used for and why they were used for something else other than what the council voted to have it the resolution for. And I can tell you, I know there is not just the text messaging one, but we also made a resolution for the sound system here. And as we could tell at the beginning, you guys saw we had trouble with the sound system. I'm sure they're on their way, some kind of speakers or wiring, but what's going on? How many resolutions have not been completed? So I'd like this list at another meeting, before we actually have this budget meeting, so we're able to actually decide what's been used, what needs to be allocated to certain line items, and what's been misused in other places.
Okay, just write an email to the manager, and she's heard you, they've heard you now, the clerk and the manager. The sound system, though, that wasn't through resolution. That was, I think, put into the budget last year.
As a matter of fact, she was just discussing
Yeah.
tonight. We've waited on the other side also as well.
Yeah.
Remember, we have small resources
I believe
here,
That was put into
and
the
there's a
budget.
lot going on. How many meetings we've had this month?
Yeah. Anything else from the council?
Is this the last good in welfare?
Yes, go ahead, Councilperson Urban.
Okay, I just want to remind everybody that gender is fluid, sexual orientation is fluid, transgender people are real, and we have an agreement in this country. You keep your stupid religion out of my life, and I will keep my stupid religion out of your life. That's the agreement we have. I have a feeling I'm going to be in the streets by the end of this year, fighting for the rights of my fellow citizens, but make no mistake, gender fluidity is real. Sexual orientation fluidity is real.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Urban. Anyone else for good and welfare?
Yeah, I just want to take a minute to tell everybody, thank you so much. I've been seeing you consistently. You're hanging in there with us. I love your feedback. I appreciate the time that you're taking out of your schedule. So yeah, thanks for that.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Mayor. Anyone else for good and welfare? Hearing, seeing none. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Madam Manager, if you want to just hit a couple bullet points on your report.
I'm going to hit only one bullet point. We have done quite a bit over the month of August and September, over the months of August and September. My manager's report is on the village website, I believe. I'm not sure, I haven't checked again, but it has been in the queue to be uploaded, and I've sent it to the members of the council. We do have a new code enforcement officer. His name is Stephen Alonzo. He comes to the village of El Portal from Indiantown, where he was a code officer for about a year and a half. He held his first special master's hearing today. Thank you to Attorney Johnson, who attended and participated. We appreciate your effort and energy in that meeting, as well as this tonight. There are several things, several project updates. Please go to the village website and read the manager's report. It's 9 pages of all of the latest information. If you have any questions, you're free to reach out to me directly to get any questions answered. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Manager. You guys see my report there. Let me just say one thing, just so everybody knows, even residents, you guys can always contact me, as Councilperson Erbaum said, if you want anything on the agenda. In our charter, it says this, section 4.01, under rules of procedure, the council shall determine its rules of procedure and order of business, not in conflict with the charter, the code of ordinances, or Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order. Let's go to Robert's Rules of Order real quick. Under Robert's Rules of Order, while the chairperson is primarily responsible for preparing the initial draft of the agenda, the assembly ultimately sets the agenda by adopting and potentially amending it at the start of the meeting. Members can propose additions or changes of the agenda, and a majority vote is typically required to adopt it. And so, at the beginning of this meeting and every council meeting, we have a motion to approve the agenda. So anybody who doesn't have anything on the agenda, you can put it on the agenda at that particular moment per Robert's Rules of Orders, per our charter. So if I don't put something on the agenda for any particular reason, and I'll just be frank with you, the reason why I didn't put anything on the agenda for tonight's meeting is because it was budget and I knew it would be long. And so I said these things can wait till October's meeting. But per our charter, per Robert's Rules of Order, at the beginning of any meeting, you can add anything you want to it to the agenda, and majority vote will put it on the agenda.
And then just to add on to that, there always is, of course, some exceptions. So sometimes there will be, but those are usually administrative, actions like millage rate and things like this that require a notice before it appears on the agenda. It can't be added in the moment, but those are typically administrative actions that are very well prescribed. And so anything that a resident would be just wanting to add to the agenda would not necessarily fall under any of those requirements.
No, as Robert Rules said when I read it, under Robert's Rules, while the chairperson and the mayor is the chair of this particular meeting. Okay? The chairperson is the primary responsible for preparing the agenda. The assembly, which would be the rest of the council, ultimately sets the agenda by adopting and potentially amending it at the start of the meeting. That's our approval of the agenda at the start of the meeting. That's where we do that. Okay? All right, you guys.
Can I just chime in on that for a second? And we'll get into it next meeting with some agenda items that I've put forth. But in some municipalities, there are meetings that occur before by which the council is then privy to all of those items that are on the agenda, so that they can proffer new items or their thoughts on what should or shouldn't be on the agenda prior to it being disseminated to the public. And I think that's what we should move toward. I think just those individualized meetings that gives every council member an opportunity to chime in might alleviate any, ruffled feathers that might occur when you don't see your item on the agenda. My feathers are not ruffled, though. I'm just stating it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. That's not a bad idea. But also, you guys remember, at the approval of the agenda, you can just say, I want to add this to the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda. Mr. Mayor, I have an amendment. I have something I want to add. I have an addition.
Yeah, sometimes though you have documents supporting items in a way that you want it presented that might make it more persuasive than what it is you can present in more of like that quick fire setting. So
Yeah.
I can imagine someone liking the preparation of discussing it with the manager, having their supplemental items disseminated to the public, and then kind of presenting it that way. So just something to think about.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Vice Mayor. We don't have any attorney reports tonight. We're good?
No reports.
Thank you very much, Mr. Attorney. I appreciate that. Motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The council meeting for Tuesday, September 23rd is adjourned at 10:02 p.m.